Bali was an experience I will never in my life forget. Just beautiful. So, this picture is from one of the many religious temples that Bali has. So, most people that live in Bali worship Islam. So, this was like a Muslim temple where they pray. They pray several times a day, fast, and they do other religious rituals. But it was interesting. And here, this is what we had to wear to enter into the temple. So the orange, I guess you could say, wrap around me was actually a scarf. And we had to wear that. It was a part of entering into the temple. And even if you had on short shorts, if you had on what they deemed as inappropriate clothing, they wrapped a purple scarf around like the lower part of your body. It was just all a part of their religion, and it was very, very sacred. Yeah, I don't know what was going on here, but I was watching. I was intrigued. This this view was everything. I found peace right here. So I stayed at the Malia Bali with my family, and it was a wonderful resort. Unforgettable experience. This swing was freeing for me. I felt so alive. Now, sometimes I felt like in reality, behind the picture, I felt like I was going to fall off of it, but the swing really, it was pretty cool. I enjoyed that swing, and it was just freeing for me. This is my beautiful mom, and she told me, I think a year prior, that she wanted to go. No, I said I wanted to go to Bali. And she was like, let's go. And like, I went. But prior to the trip, I just wasn't in the best place emotionally. And this year was pretty rough for me. So, this candid picture for me signifies my mother and I's relationship. We are so close. I talk to her every day about literally almost everything. Like, I talk to my friends and tell them stuff that I tell my mom, and they're like, I would never tell my mom that. But my mom is like super non judgmental. She's my best friend. I love her so much. And I mean, this year was just very, very difficult, extremely difficult for me mentally. I was in a very long battle with depression silently. And she was one of the people that knew about it. And this trip was like Julia Roberts and Eat, Pray, Love. I was soul searching. Nothing was going right for me. Doors were closing. And I just didn't understand because I was doing the work. And I'm like, God, I don't understand. And I'm still kind of in that place, but it's better. But this trip was like, this trip was the change. I don't know. I felt something when I was there, something that opened up within me to drive me to keep going on the journey and on the path and not to give up. But off and on this entire year before I went on that trip, I was in such a dark place that I can't even explain. I didn't even feel like me. And after that trip, I felt inspired and uplifted. So it was my mom and my grandmother, who I also love so dearly. We all went here, and I went to the beach almost every day. And I just people watched a lot, and I thought a lot. I listened to music, and it was just one word, like I said, to describe this trip is just freeing. I felt free from all of the heavy loads that I carried before I got to the trip. You know, when you're just so overwhelmed with your life and you're like, I just gotta go somewhere for relaxation and peace. Bali is that place. So I met a friend instantly. Never happens for me. Very rare. But I saw, no, I was taking a picture at that exact moment with my mom. And I think it was on the same day. And like we were just doing all these different poses because, if I take pictures anywhere where I travel, like I'm having a photo shoot. So me and my mom were having a fake photo shoot. And this beautiful girl comes up to me named Jen. And she was like, I want pictures like you guys' pictures. So I need you to take my picture in front of that swing. We clicked instantly. It was an instant energy. She's from London. And I mean, it was organic. It wasn't even anything that was forced. You know, good people, you can feel the energy of good people. Jen is good people. And we still talk. We follow each other on Instagram. And she's just cool people. But for me, like, I've traveled a lot. And I always meet someone on the journey. And I always think, who am I going to meet this time? And Jen was that person. So everywhere I literally go, I have a conversation with someone about different cultures. And I love to hear about people and where they come from and my culture. And it's actually all alike. I mean, I've learned that a lot of us want the same things. They may speak a different language. They may live in a different country. But what we want as human beings, it's universal. And I always found that to be just something to think about. You know, their lives are not too far from my life in America. I just really, really enjoy talking to other people from different cultures. I think for me, that's what I love about traveling the most and seeing how people live. It's so amazing. God's work is so amazing. The food was pretty good. We had an all-inclusive dining plan, and there were several options for eating, and the food was pretty good. Lots of spices, but all together good food. This was the buffet. We came here every morning, that was our daily ritual. This is the day they had like a seafood night buffet, and they had like performances. It was nice. I think I enjoyed the beach more at night because people weren't crowding over the swings. But it was a very nice place. But I will say this. For me, it wasn't a girls' trip sort of destination. It was a destination for couples. A lot of people were going there for a honeymoon, something like that. So when I come back, I said, I want to be married or have a very solid long-term relationship. Like, that's a place definitely for lovers. And going there, I also was like, wow, this would be awesome for like my husband to come with me. And then I say you either go alone to soul search or this is a place for lovers. This was the local coffee shop. They had lots of different coffee and cappuccinos, pastries. So, yeah. The staff was amazing. They went over and beyond every day. I'll never forget it. I did yoga with my mother. I think we had like, maybe we went maybe 3 times out of that week we stayed there. And I've taken yoga classes before, but nothing like this one. With every breath that I took, inhaling and exhaling, I really felt like I breathed out all of my toxic energy. So, this was a Balinesian dance class as well that we did. I don't know what I was doing, so. I haven't always been the best person with rhythm, but it was about the experience. And I didn't know they really danced that hard and that it was a lot of hip movement and jerking. And it's actually a lot like African dancing, it's not much different. And I thought it was pretty interesting to know that it was kind of all the same, but a lot of hip movement and counting the beat in your head at a 1 2 step. So, my mom had it down, but me, whew. So, this was our teacher just putting the scarf around us. She said we had to wear it to dance. And it was just like she was measuring, the waist, the hip, everything. She knew what she was doing. That's all I can say. I remember when we first touched down, it felt like the longest flight. My mom already lives in the continent of Asia, so our flight wasn't as long. I do believe it was around maybe 6 to 8 hours. But we had a lot of we had a connection through Hong Kong. So I was dog tired. We arrived, I believe, at midnight or 1 a.m. And then customs was just crazy. So by the time I got here in the picture, I was exhausted. But I kept seeing these flowers and I kept smelling this oil fragrance. I don't know what the fragrance was, but when I touched down, I instantly felt calm. I just felt at peace. I cannot explain it. I haven't been everywhere. I've been to a few places, but this place here, the feeling I felt when I just touched the territory, it was a feeling I can't explain. It was literally like this spirit of relaxation, this spirit of just peace. I couldn't even stress not once there. I could not stress. I couldn't do it. I instantly felt, I guess it was like a lavender smell. But I looked at the flowers. I instantly felt at peace and I felt serene. And I know I looked a mess, but I felt just like I was supposed to be there. So that was that. And now I'm transitioning over to the second. Well, this was really the first trip that I took, and Bali was the second. And it was like, I think in a span of 2 or 3 weeks' time, it was like instant back to back trips, which was pretty fun and spontaneous. But, anyways, this trip was the most spontaneous. Bali was planned, but Turks and Caicos was more like a very spontaneous trip with my cousin. And it was a beautiful place. This was like beautiful water, just white sand, very beautiful. As you can see, this was the beach. This was the water. And I'm a person about beaches. I love water. I love sand. Pretty white sand, turquoise beach. I think that's why they call it Turks and Caicos. But I loved it. I had fun here. This was literally a trip where my cousin was like, hey, I'm going to Turks and Caicos. And I said, oh, yeah, I'm meeting you. I'll meet you there. It was like nothing to me, no thought behind it. I just packed my bags and left. I think I was the most confident on this trip. So, yeah. So, me and my cousin, we did another photo shoot. And I was a type of kid, I used to watch music videos. This is what this put me in the mindset of, like that sexy music video girl who just had all of her camera time. That's how I felt. That's how I wanted to feel. I wanted to feel sexy. I wanted to feel like that girl in the music video. And that's what this landmark, or I don't even know what this was here on the beach, but it put me in that mindset and it stuck out to me. And I'm like, this would be a great picture to take. And I just want to feel sexy today. So that's the vibe me and my cousin went with. She had her photo shoot and I had mine. So growing up, I dealt with a whole lot of self-esteem issues. I was bullied, believe it or not. I had a bully. I avoided hallways. I mean, I'm not going to name who the person was, but I had a bully. Really, I would say from about maybe third grade to the sixth grade, I had this same bully. I was bullied. I was talked about. I was made fun of. I was ridiculed. I was belittled in front of people, mocked. I mean, everything that you see that happens to kids that go home and cry at night, not feeling good enough, that was my story. And grade school was rough. From kindergarten to 12th grade. I don't think I really truly started being introduced to loving who I was until like college. All throughout school, I never felt great enough. I never felt good enough. I never felt pretty enough. I pretended very well. But college, it all turned into insecurities. The low self-esteem was gone, but it multiplied into insecurity. And one thing that is very prevalent in the African American community is colorism. And I dealt with that firsthand. I know what that feels like. And it's, racism within your own race. The battle of light skin versus dark skin. And people looking down on you because you are darker skin or thinking less than of you. I dealt with that a whole lot. And a lot of girls, or a lot of darker skinned girls like myself, their issue was with lighter skinned girls. Oh, she did. My demons were never lighter skinned. My demons were never lighter than me. My demons were always just as dark as me or a couple of shades lighter. I always had people who looked like me that talked about me, and it was self-hatred. And so I think my self-esteem issues, when I had them, started when I was like 5. And I mean, I'm not going to go into that story. I'll save that for another segment because that story is a long, hard one. But I didn't even know there was, this thing going on because my dad was in the military. But I went to one school in Atlanta, Georgia for a short period of time. And I was like being called names. And I'm thinking, I didn't know this was a problem because nobody had ever said anything to me about my complexion before. But, anyways, all of those mean, harmful, angry words followed me throughout my life for so long until I had to free it and understand that hurt people hurt people. Like people who are hurting inside and who hate themselves, they interject their own deep wounds to other people's lives. So me thinking about that and people who look like me and only getting picked on by girls who look like me or who had skin just as dark as me, that's because they hated themselves. And I had to get to a point to learn that to be free. So for this picture to me, I can look at it and smile because I wish I could shake my 5-year-old, 7-year-old self and say, girl, just give it time. I wish I could hug myself and say, give it time. Give it a couple of more years. You'll forget these people's names. They won't even matter. And you'll be right here like this, taking a picture. And for me, growing up, I didn't see many girls. I'm an 80s baby. I didn't see many girls who looked like me. There was Naomi Campbell, which I loved. I'm sorry, who I loved. But there wasn't a lot of girls that looked like me or who had skin as dark as me. So that made it even harder. Times weren't like they are now. Like now, that's all you see. But back then, I had to learn how to love who I am. And yes, I did look different, but I had to still just carry on. And for me, this was my cover of Elle. This was my cover of King. This was my cover. So I felt great. I felt great putting on these bathing suits. And I said I wanted to heal this year, and I felt like I healed in every area that was intended. So for me, this trip was being free from everything that everyone said about me in the past and looking at myself in a magazine and the little girl me looking at me in the magazine and saying, you go, girl. This was my moment. And I felt good. And I finally come to a place where I don't care what nobody say about me. I'm happy. And I truly love who I am in and out. And I'm happy with what God made because God don't make no mess. And this is my cousin. And we call her Nene. But Nene has the body of a goddess, okay? And I was like, let me take a picture of this girl. And I think this picture is so beautiful. The water is beautiful. It looks like something you would hang up, like, in a living room. But, yeah, like I said, we both had our photo shoot, and we felt great that day. But I like this one way better. This is my fave. I was the photographer, everybody. But, yeah, it's just, this is Turks and Caicos. I'm talking about just beautiful water, beautiful vibes. Another, once again, relaxing place. Our resort was all inclusive again. So I like resorts like that. It was pretty nice. And I mean, they had events, they had things to do, they had shows. I think they had this little partying They had a little mini party every night, and we had fun. It was a really good time. But Turks and Caicos, again, I would say this would be a great couples trip, unlike Bali, where it's just you and your significant other alone. I think this one would be great for an all couples trip. Kind of like maybe a married couples trip, honeymoon retreat, or something like that. I think that would be pretty dope. It's pretty relaxed, pretty chill. Everything was right on the resort. The food, kind of, I don't remember it being spicy, but it was like normal Caribbean food, lots of rice, potatoes, different meat and stuff like that. So, it was pretty good. The food was pretty good. Kind of the same, like I said, like all other Caribbean areas. Of course, as rumored, Turks and Caicos is very pricey, and it was. And it is a small, remote island. I mean, I don't really think or believe there's much of a party scene because we asked around. Not much of a party scene. So if you're coming here to party, this is not the place to party. But it is a place to relax and kind of get a mild vibe. And there were a lot of older, I mean like 40 plus, 45 plus career professionals, kind of like that age group there. And I think this would be a wonderful place for someone who just wants to party and have a good time, but they want a mature crowd party. This is like a perfect trip for that. This is, for me, in my opinion, this isn't like a place to go for someone 20s, 18, and you're thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be like Miami or Vegas. No, it's not that type of a party vibe. It's a party vibe, but it's just a real nice, chill, mature, professional party vibe. And I'm starting to get to the age where I like that kind of a party vibe. But I enjoyed myself, and I know my cousin did as well. It was her birthday trip, and we had lots of fun. The infamous sign of Turks and Caicos, very colorful and beautiful. And it was hot there, yeah. It was hot. This was another place that we went to during lunch, and I just enjoyed sitting out, people watching again, and just looking over the water. And it was very nice. It was even more nice to be away from work. That's priceless. But yeah, here that water was so cold. Really, really cold. But overall, I stayed a very short period of time in Turks. Turks was, like I said, a lot of fun. Beautiful water, beautiful scenery, beautiful people, a mature crowd. A little pricey, but I would come back again. But next time, I would love to rent a yacht and go sailing, something like that. But that was a place where I got to clear my mind. And I mean, that's pretty much it. Both of those trips taught me a lot. And I really enjoyed myself on those trips. This year,
The trips, I don't know, they were like lessons. And I had fun. I had fun with both of those trips. And I said originally that it was in a 3 week span. No, it was literally like a week. I think I went here in Turks like the end of September, early October. And then that second week of October, I went to Bali. And like I said, both trips changed my life forever and for the better. And that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Continue to follow the show, The Kenosha Show. Thank you for everyone who's been supporting on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I love all of you, and I promise you, I'm going to make it a point to be more consistent because I hope that I can reach out to somebody. But I'm just living life, and I'm having a good time, and, you know, just trying to record the pieces. All right, love you guys. Bye.